Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Get to Know Them. I am so excited to have you here today, tuning in. My guest is a super inspiring one, so you just get ready. It's going to be a great segment today. For those of you who might be tuning in for the first time, Get to Know Them is a show where every week I want to inspire you with real life stories shared by some of my favorite people. And before I introduce today's guest, as always, I'm going to introduce you to our sponsors. Our clothing sponsor is Brenda Badome. BrendaBadome.com. Go and check out her website. I'm wearing a beautiful satin blouse of Brenda's today. And she's wonderful. She's a Canadian clothing designer. I've known her for many, many years. So be sure to check out her website, BrendaBadome.com, and use the coupon code Get to Know Them for 22% off of your order. And as always, I sponsor myself as a jewelry designer. You can go on our website, glamjewels.com, GLAMJULZ.com, and check out our jewels. We've got some lovely pieces for Valentine's Day. And just quickly, one of the pieces I'm wearing today, this is actually a collaboration with Hides in Hand, who's an amazing Canadian company also that does beautiful leatherware. So I'm wearing a piece today that has leather on the top part of the necklace and then Swarovski crystals and gemstones at the bottom. If you go on our website, you'll see a banner that says Hides and Jewels, and in there you can see this piece plus many other collaborative pieces that we've done with Hides in Hand. So without further ado, let's get on to introducing our fabulous guest today, you guys. Jaclyn Harper is here with us, and I'm going to pull up her bio right now to read to you. So here we go. Jaclyn is highly recognized for her television career. She has hosted Tiny Talent Time, CH Morning Live First Edition, and was a host for the Shopping Channel. Nowadays, you'll see Jaclyn featured by House and Home and HGTV showcasing her work. She is the owner of Harper Designs, an interior design studio in Burlington, Ontario. I met Jaclyn back in her CH days and was so happy to run into her at the station recently. She had a segment, and I was on for a segment with our Three Little Wishes campaign, and we reconnected there. And I invited her to be on the show, and she said yes. I'm so happy. Her energy, her enthusiasm, it's just contagious. I love everything about Jaclyn, and here she comes.
Hello. What an
Hello.
introduction. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, it's so true. I've loved you since the moment I met you. You know
Oh,
what?
right
I
back
think
at you.
you were so, I just want to say this, Jaclyn. Like, I remember coming into CH. Oh my gosh, the
This is
doggy.
Petey.
I should have brought
Sorry,
my
sorry.
doggy.
He wants to be on camera too.
That's awesome. But I remember coming in there and I was sitting in the makeup chair and you came in and you went, "Hey, you said my name, you complimented my hair, you asked me if I did it myself, and I was
Oh,
and you were just so sweet and welcoming, and you were really part of that a huge part of that feeling I always have when I go to CH, where it's just one big happy family. There's nobody's pretentious or full of themselves. It's just like you guys are so grateful to have the guests. So that was
we
really
were,
special,
yeah.
and that
You
always.
you kept us sane those early mornings, Monica.
I don't know how you did that. Oh my goodness.
Was very
Yeah.
early. I'm sure we're going to talk about that because I definitely don't wake up that early now, right?
Okay. That's good.
Yes, yes. Love those
Yeah.
days. Love my TV family, but
Yeah.
thankful I get to sleep in and do something
Yeah.
else.
That's right. No, that's great. So, Jaclyn, I have to ask you the first question I ask all of my guests, and that is, what did little Jackie want to be when she grew up?
You know what I wanted to be? A ballerina.
Oh,
And you know what? You
serious?
might not know this about me, Monica, but I used
Yeah.
to dance professionally. I was in a ballet company and we traveled to Kiev to dance with the National Kiev Ballet.
Wow.
When, yeah,
Amazing. I did
back
not
when,
know that about you. How old were you?
12. So still
Wow.
very young, but I was hopeful that I would be a ballerina when I grew up.
Oh, that's wonderful. I
Yeah.
love that. Gosh, so did you do that like for a year, or did you carry that on through high school? Or
So
how?
I started out dancing when I was like 3 years old, danced all the way
Okay.
through, really dedicated myself to ballet. I did do tap and jazz and all the competitive stuff,
Mhm.
but I continued through high school. That's actually when I met my husband in high school. So I had other priorities. I wanted to hang out with my friends and,
Yeah,
boy crazy in high school. So,
of course.
well, I
Where did you
was.
grow up, Jack? Did you grow up in Burlington or?
No, I grew up in Ancaster.
Okay.
Actually, I went to elementary school and middle school in Hamilton, and then my
Yeah.
family moved to Ancaster. So I was the new girl in high school, like brand new school for me. I only knew one person
Wow.
going in. Yeah.
Oh,
I
how
feel like
was
that's
that?
part of my story too, to be honest. I
Yeah.
thrive in social situations, and
Mhm.
you can put me in a room. I feel like you're good at this too. Put me in a room where I don't know anyone, and I will make friends with as many people as possible.
I love that.
Do you
Yeah.
do that as well?
Yeah, it's funny. Speaking of the school thing, my mom says that her memory of me all through school was always coming home and talking about my new friend so and so and my new friend so and so.
Yes,
Like,
I
you
believe
know,
that.
yeah. And my dad was like that. How about your parents? Do you feel like you may have got that from one of them, or?
Definitely my mom. My mom is very outgoing, very social, easy to get along with. My dad is too, but he has his set group of friends, and those are his friends.
Right. Yeah.
So
Go-
interesting
Do you
how
ever
we take on those qualities.
Yeah. And do you ever feel this way, Jacqueline, like when you're that way inclined where you can meet people and really genuinely connect so easily? When they say that expression about a handful of friends is enough, like it's quality over quantity. But I can honestly say, and I don't know if this is the same for you, there are so many
Yes.
people I've met throughout my life, yet that are all so special. Like I think I put value on all of them, you
I
know?
totally agree
But
with you, and I could see us being
yeah,
very similar like that. I
yeah,
remember when I was, in my 20s and constantly having get-togethers. When I was working the morning show, every day was a
yeah,
different lunch with someone else, and I remember people saying to me, "Enjoy that while you can. Eventually, you're going to have, five, maybe seven friends because you only have time for so many people in your life."
yeah,
And I actually don't find that that's true for me. I find I still have genuine connections with a lot of people, and I make time for a lot of people.
yeah. That's great.
So I feel like we're the
And
same.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And that came out, you felt that in high school more, or were you already feeling that as a little kid, like in elementary?
Um, I just love being in social situations. So that's a little bit of the
Yeah,
extrovert in me. And in high school, I honestly adapted so well. I had like five different groups of friends that there's one that I'm still really connected with, but you know, yeah,
nice.
just like
Yeah.
making friends with lots of different people.
I love it. That's great. It is an interesting topic of conversation
Yes.
because I think we hear more often about you're like you said, you'll have five to
Yeah.
seven friends at the most, and yeah,
And that's
that's
it.
great.
Quality over quantity. And I
Yeah.
do find that that trait helps me in my business
Mhm.
because people don't really talk about that. We are going to get to it eventually that now I do interior design, but it's
Yeah.
very much a customer service based industry. It's all about the client, it's all about people and meeting new people and feeling comfortable in those situations. And I do
Yeah.
think that's something that stands us apart from a lot of other firms is that we communicate really well and we provide really great customer service because of that.
Yeah, and also like when I think of that industry, it's so intimate, like to have somebody come into your home and look at the way things are and make
Yes.
recommendations on change. And you really have to understand those people and their lifestyle and
Yes.
what their needs are, right? So yeah,
And then there are firms too that only work with people that want to do their type of design.
mm,
And we don't do that. we basically work with our clients to see what their style is, help them define that style, and then create a home that they are going to love, not that they're forced to love.
Oh, I love that. That is amazing. Okay, I have some questions for you on
Okay,
that
bring
as
it
we
on.
go through. Yeah, because
Okay.
that's cool. But before we go there, I'm curious to know after high school, what kind
Yes.
of a student were you? Were you like, okay, off to university, or was that not your bag, or what
Yes.
happened after high school?
I was absolutely teacher's pet. Um,
Yeah.
I remember, so I did dance through high school as well. And I remember that teacher specifically said, if she could adopt me, she would. Like she
Oh,
wanted me to be her kid.
adorable.
Um, but from there, I went to university, and that carved a little bit of my roadmap. You know, I've been all over the place, and all of the things that I've done, I find really help me where I am now. But so I went to school for television broadcasting at Western University. Loved Western. It was a collaborative program at the time. So I got 5 years of education in four, which was
Oh,
great. I got a diploma and a degree all in that 4 years, jam packed. Um, and I wasn't studying to be in front of the camera. I was literally studying to be a camera operator, to be a technical director, doing graphics, like all the behind the scenes. When you would come to the CH studio, that's what I was training to do, be behind the scenes.
oh my gosh, I cannot
Mm-hmm.
imagine you behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, and that's how I
Yeah.
started my career. So I was an intern actually, you know, eTalk
Yes.
in Toronto. So I interned for a
Okay.
couple summers at eTalk, and that was a pretty fun job. But it was very, you know, the task that nobody wanted to do. We were um, like basically writing script, and like decoding tapes and things like that, because it was back when everything was on tape.
Yeah.
And then I remember my mom was like, you should really reach out to CH. They're local. You know, you could still live at home and do an internship there. And I went, and the gentleman that was hiring me on as an intern said, look, you're not meant to be on camera. Said it flat out first day that I was interviewing. And he
Yeah.
said, you know, I'm going to contact the operations and see if maybe they can get you in. And luckily, they took me in, and I started off behind the scenes. So I was a camera operator in the studio. I was a production assistant for at least a year before I went on camera. But really interesting that going to school for all the behind the scenes stuff is now helping me because I understand all the social media, and look how prominent video is
Oh
in
my
today's
gosh.
world,
Yeah.
right? And I know
Mhm.
I studied all that stuff. So it's kind of come around tenfold, which has been really beneficial.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I started.
Wow.
That's how I started.
Okay. Yeah, I never knew you were behind the camera. That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
It's so how what was the next step then? How did you get in front of the camera? Was that something you wanted to do, or did somebody say, "All right, Jaclyn, you're too we need you in front of the camera now."
You know
What
what?
happened?
I made a lot of friends. Like we talked about making
Yeah.
friends and making instant friends. I made a lot of friends in the building. It was kind of like another high school, to be honest. And a lot of them were saying, we got to get you on camera. What are you doing sitting here? We got to get you on camera. So on the weekends, they would throw me in front of the green screen, and we would just practice and play because it was just fun. You know, we were like hanging out as friends. We were killing time during commercial breaks. And I started putting some of that stuff on tape, and I'm like, if I'm going to get in, I should really start learning the weather.
Yeah.
So I started taking up books. I started doing research. I started practicing in front of the green screen. I'm very technical. Like I'm really good at picking up technology. So I was able to pick up the weather systems and start creating my own, like the whole weather. They called it WSI at the time. So making all my different boards. And then when they were hiring for the earliest morning show in Canada, I already had a tape ready to go.
Amazing.
So it just worked out. It really
Yeah.
worked out. And I was so
That
young. I was 23 when that all happened.
God, yeah, that's very young. Holy smokes. And then tiny talent time as well.
Yeah. So about
Yeah.
4 years later, so I had been doing the
Yeah.
early morning show with Tim. 4 years later, they were auditioning for a new host for Tiny Talent Time. we were bringing the show back. And I remember the producer on the show, she brought her kids into the interview. And
Oh,
yeah, it just, we hit it off. I really connected with the kids. And she asked her kids, who was your favorite? And they said, the girl in the yellow dress. And I wore this bright yellow
oh,
dress. Um,
perfect.
and so, yeah, so then we did 3 seasons of Tiny Talent Time and all good stuff. I was on camera, I'd say, for probably 7 years. We did the morning show for almost five, and we had Tiny Talent kind of trickled a few years later.
Okay.
I also worked at the shopping channel for a bit. Did you know that?
Yeah, I didn't know. I saw that in your bio. I
Yeah,
can't. Yeah, I didn't know that.
yeah. I
That's
worked there for
wild.
a year. That is a hard job. So a lot of the time on CH, if I was doing a community segment, it's all about you. So it's fun.
Hmm.
You show up. I don't have to know a single thing. I'm just asking you about you, and you know you, so you can do the talking. But
Yeah.
on the shopping channel, they teach you that you are the person behind the jewelry store glass, right? If
Okay.
someone's coming
Yeah.
in, you're expected to know absolutely everything about everything that you're talking about. And the difference there was on CH, you're live for, let's say, 3 minutes at a time, maximum. You know what it's
Yeah.
like, a 3 minute
Yeah.
segment, and it flies. And then at the shopping channel, you're live for 3 hours at a time. Live. No
Oh,
commercials.
yeah.
No commercials. You are the commercial.
Yeah. That is crazy. And you have to know that product so well, like inside and
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
you got it. So they
Yeah.
give us a lot of things to test out, and you really had to, if it was a hair product, I was playing with it. If it was like a hair growing serum, I'm using that 3 months before I'm selling it on camera. Um, Very different, lots of different roles, right?
Which of all of the TV roles that you've had, is there a favorite one
Yes, my
that was,
favorite absolutely was First Edition with Tim. You know
yeah.
Tim.
Yeah.
He is a blast. And like you said, they become your family. He is still
Mhm.
like a big brother to me. He really took me under his wing. And one of my favorite things that he taught me was to really just be yourself. And I was so young at the time. I feel like I really struggled with that. I felt
Mhm.
like to be on the news, you had to talk. You know how news reporters talk.
Yes.
Breaking now, like you put on a different voice and you just become this different person. So he always said to me, Jack, just be you, right? And
Oh,
so I really took that.
that's great advice. And I was going to ask you about that, Jacqueline, because as a small business owner, um, there are so many people like us who are in business for themselves, and it's so important to brand yourself. And people
Yes,
say, if you want to make that really good online connection, be in front of the camera, like do that. And
it's true.
and so many people are not, first of all, they may not be extroverted. They shy away from that. They'd rather show their product than themselves.
Yep,
So I was going to ask you that if you had advice for people who are in business where they need to sort of show themselves more. What
absolutely.
was it that helped you sort of find your groove behind the camera, I guess?
So, one of the things I learned at the shopping channel was to so looking into the camera right now, you talk to that camera, don't even think about anyone else, but picture your best friend. And if you were so excited about what you had to offer or what you had to sell, you're going to tell your best friend, right? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I just got my hair done and this girl was amazing. And you would tell them all about that. So I think it's to stop overthinking all the other people. Pretend that you're telling your best friend about something you're really passionate about. Um, and remember, the people who are following you and showing up for you are not the people that are judging you and rolling their eyes at you, right? They're
Yeah.
showing up for you, so you should show up for them.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. It's so true because, even when you're like, I find that with my business, like I'll create something, I'm excited about it, but maybe I've talked about it before. Now I'm thinking, do I talk about it again? Like
Yes,
I don't
yes,
want to inundate, but it's true. It's that old thing, with you have to look at any type of marketing or advertising. People need to hear it a few times before it
yep,
resonates. But for us, we feel like, oh, I don't want to bug them, or I don't want to, there's all these insecurities that come up. But I love
totally.
that idea of talking to your best friend in the
Yes.
camera. It's,
And it's shifting your mindset too, that
hmm.
you're not selling, you're really just sharing something that you're so excited about, right? Because when it
Yes.
becomes a sales pitch, buy this for $5.99, people are already swiping away. I'm actually
Yeah.
finding too, when it's overproduced, people are already swiping because it feels too much like a commercial. But when you are authentically you, and people can see how genuinely excited you are about what you're serving or how you can help them,
Yeah.
that's when the real connection happens, which will eventually lead to a sale. It's
Yeah.
all about that
Oh, that's
connection.
great.
Hmm.
Yep, totally.
Hmm.
Right back to where we started, making the connections.
Yeah, you're
So,
so right. You're so right.
yeah, that's great. So, t TV to interior design, how did that
Yes,
happen?
I know. Crazy
That's
turn of events,
I
right?
love it.
So,
Yeah.
oh, I just lost an earring. It's all good. When I worked at CH, I remember a lot of the people there asking me questions, specifically Tim. He was like, Jack, what should I do with my bathroom? What should I do with my bedroom? And we'd have these makeup sessions where before we went live on air, we were in the makeup room. We always joked that it was like our therapy. And that was my therapy, helping
Yeah.
him design his bedroom or, you know, redesigning a space in his house. And so at one point, CH did go bankrupt. Do you remember that, Monica?
Yes, I remember.
So
Yeah.
they went bankrupt. Our early morning show got canceled.
Hmm.
And I worked on the later morning show as well, but ultimately that was only 3 hours at the end of my shift. So I was not sticking around with CH. And at the time, I thought, what am I going to do? Oh my goodness. I went to school for TV. This is what I know. It's
Yeah.
scary to jump into another career. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this enough, but it's such a relatable story. We don't have to just have one career anymore. You can have three, you can have four, you can have seven. You can do whatever you want. Um, so at that point, I went to the shopping channel. I was hired, worked for a year, but on the side, I just reached out to a local interior design firm. And what I pitched to her was, I am very good at social media. I know how to work a camera. I can teach you how to be on camera. This is what I can offer you. Can you teach me design? And
Oh,
she
perfect.
wasn't she wasn't really looking to hire, but I sold her on having someone to manage her social media and teach her how to be on camera and how to work Instagram. So that was my in. And it was a great way for me to kind of test the ropes too, because I didn't know if I would be good at design. I didn't know if I could do it on my own. So I ended up working for her for 2 years and still kept my foot in the door with TV. I was doing design segments and kind of building myself more now as a design expert as opposed to an on camera personality.
Okay.
And at that point, I went on my own, which was terrifying, like absolutely terrifying. I was pregnant, um, which it's funny when you hear about a lot of interior designers, a lot of them were moms on mat leave saying, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my time, so I became an interior designer. And it makes it sound so easy. It's really not that easy, right? It's a business, it's
Yeah.
customer service. There are so many hats you have to wear. But that was my start. I went on my own. And I remember my husband and I having a serious talk that this didn't work out in a year. I was not too proud that I wouldn't go and get a job somewhere else. But
Yeah.
it was kind of a passion project. And I'm very grateful 5 years later that we're thriving. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
But
5
so I
years
think,
already. Wow.
Monica, I think a really
Yeah.
good tip from that is anyone that's looking to maybe restart or try out a new career is to really
Mhm.
think about the qualities that you could offer someone in exchange for learning
Mhm.
from them.
I
Because if
think
I had
that's a
gone out
great
and
idea.
said, look, I want to get into interior design, hire me, there's no freaking way I would get hired, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even, having a lot of times people think, "Oh, I have to go back to school." I don't think that's necessarily so. You already know I have this gift. I
Yes,
know,
yes,
visually I can help anybody. So I just need to learn the ropes. And I think that's where most of us learn best is actually doing it, whatever it is, rather than sitting in a classroom. I mean, of course, that's valuable as well, but I love
yeah.
the approach you took.
Well, so a few
Yeah,
years in, I did do some online schooling at the New York Institute of Art and Design. So I learned some of the technical, but truthfully, if someone was going in without knowing anything and just did the technical, it doesn't mean you're going to succeed in an interior design business. There is so
yeah,
much, I don't want to say people pleasing, but more customer service. Like you really have to sell yourself. Why,
right.
why would they want to work with you? So you have to be really good with people in that respect. People have to trust you with a lot of money to manage either their renovation or to buy new furniture in their home.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to fix things. Um,
Yeah.
and that's something I pride myself on is we will always make it right for clients.
That's amazing. And Jacqueline, I guess, the other part of having good relationships are all of the people that you're working with, like the suppliers, the contractors. That's got to be really solid as well because you want them to have the same values as you do, right? So
True.
if a customer comes back and says, "Hey, I saw this a little differently," you want them to, be on your side and say, "Sure, we can adjust that," or whatever it is, right?
Absolutely.
So
You know what?
that,
We haven't really encountered any bad situations where it hasn't worked out that way. I feel like we've
yeah,
surrounded ourselves with some really amazing people. Again, that genuine connection where not only are our trades and suppliers referring us, but our customers have such a good experience that the majority of our business is truly referrals. It's all those
right.
connections.
Yeah. I have a question for you. Now,
Yeah.
this is, I don't know if anybody else has this question, but it's selfishly for me.
Okay. Bring it on.
So, it's so funny. Like I think about, here's a couple things I think about. So first of all, I think about my dear dad who was always like, he never wanted to do anything too wild because you don't want to devalue the
Gotcha.
resale opportunity of the house,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, but my dad bought his house with my mom in 1969, and my mom sold it like, 3 years ago. So
Oh,
really,
wow. And he didn't do a thing?
well, they did some stuff later, but not. But throughout the years, I kind of remember him like, "Oh, I wouldn't do that. That's a little too crazy
Yeah.
if we ever wanted to sell." So that
Yes.
was sort of the mentality. Now, I find myself, as we all do, I'm kind of like my dad now. Like my husband is very artistic. He's got really good ideas, and I'm like, "Are you crazy?" Like we have this
Ah,
idea that we want to do orange cupboards in our kitchen with
I
turquoise
love it.
accents.
Oh, that's
And
fun.
and I'm like, "That's amazing."
Yeah.
And then I say, "But you do realize if we wanted to sell tomorrow, we'd have to paint everything white." But anyway, with that said, I just wondered what your perspective on that was. Like how people, we got to live and be ourselves in our homes,
Yep.
right?
You're
But
so right.
then, yeah, like
So
how
it
do you
really
feel?
depends on the overall plan. So if we were chatting with a client that says, I'm going to sell next year, should I do an all turquoise kitchen? Would probably say, no, don't do that if you're going to sell in a year. But
Yeah,
if you are creating a home for you and your family, absolutely yes. And we will show you how to do that, right? We would go through, if it was a kitchen, we'd help them pick their door profile, the hardware, the cabinet color, like the perimeter. Maybe it's going to be the island. Maybe we're doing two different profile cabinets. Maybe we're introducing some glass. What's the color on the wall? What's the backsplash? There's 30 plus decisions to make in just the kitchen. And we
right.
want people to love where they live. So it's really doing a deep dive as to what their overall plan is. Also, do they have kids? Do they have pets? What are the materials that we want to use in that space? So
Yeah.
it's looking holistically. right, at the project.
Yeah. It's great. And Jack, I also like your YouTube channel is incredible.
Oh,
You've
thank
done
you.
so many, yeah, you've done some really great videos, helping people and teaching them. I love your daughter's bedroom, how you
Thank
did like the
you.
custom wallpaper and everything.
So it's funny you
It's
mention that because I feel like I don't put a lot of energy into my YouTube, but I have been investing time in TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
no,
Oh, I gotta
I,
get you on
yeah,
there. Oh my goodness.
oh boy.
So,
Yeah.
like you were saying on YouTube, it's more about helping people. So
Hmm.
I'm toying with this rebrand myself that the clients that we're helping, a lot of them are young families, and they're looking for my help. So I want to provide, expert advice, and I want to position myself as an expert, not a DIYer. I used to do some morning segments as like the DIY guru, and let's make this and let's make that, kind of positioning myself away from that. But on TikTok, it's all young kids, and I'm verified on TikTok. I like took off very quickly because I started out when it was just starting.
Okay.
Um, but it's a lot more how to's and, believe it or not, mistakes to avoid. That's where I really took off as
Oh,
a niche on TikTok, design mistakes.
great. So you're doing TikTok, you're doing YouTube, you're doing Instagram,
Yep.
you have a Facebook page. Are you doing a lot on there
No,
or
I do
not
nothing
as
on
much?
Facebook. I need your tip
Okay.
on Facebook because you're rocking
Yeah.
Facebook.
But I think I have it's so hard because I have a younger demographic, but then I also have, my own demographic, 50 plus, and a lot of us are on Facebook. And I think it's because of high school and, all
Yeah.
these, that's where our people are kind of thing. But
Yep.
um it's crazy. I actually I don't know if you've heard of these girls, Jaclyn. They're called the Product Boss. They're two women and they have a podcast and they talk about how product-based businesses can market themselves on social media. And of course, I paid $50 US for a whole
To get the
content
course?
calendar, which
Yeah.
I haven't, yeah, took the course, haven't even looked at the calendar yet, but I just wondered in terms of time. Sometimes I find it all so overwhelming and I'm so busy and I'll be doing, my shipping or whatever. And I'm thinking,
Yes.
oh, this would be good content. I should take a photo of myself in my ponytail,
Yes.
old sweatshirt doing shipping because people would love that. And then I go, forget it.
Yeah,
So
I'm with you. I'm with you there. Now, do you have a team? You have people that work with you, don't you?
sorry, say I just like your earring, my
It fell
headphones just
out.
flung out of my head. I got so excited. I whipped the whole so
Monica, do you
so
have people that
yeah.
do you have people that work with you?
So now I used to have people here and
Yes.
now I have people working from home since the pandemic and I've
Gotcha.
kept it that way.
Gotcha.
But it's
Okay.
not to say I can't bring someone in to help every once in a while.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
even think you need that. So for me, we now have a team of 4 people, believe it or not, and we have an office
Great.
space. We call it our studio in Burlington. But every Monday morning, we do a team meeting and we discuss what can we film this week? What would make some good content? What are we helping people with, and how can we share that? And now I'm not doing it perfectly by any means, but at least we're getting that discussion started. And that's something that you or anyone that's watching can start to think about. What am I doing for work this week if you're hoping to promote what you're doing?
Yeah.
Um, how do I capture that? What day should I post that? If you're going to meet a client, sometimes my clients don't want to be on camera, but they don't mind if I'm filming, the tablescape of some of the things we've presented or the behind the scenes of the renovation that's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's shifting that mindset to more. I think it's really important to document. Just document. Don't overthink the
Yeah.
production element. So if you're doing some shipping, like, you could literally do a live and say, "Oh, someone just ordered this necklace. Love it." Show them how you're packaging it up, how much
Yeah.
detail goes into packaging that up. I think that would be great. Even just making that into a video to share.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I think that's such a great tip and it's so valuable for anyone in business for themselves. I feel like it's kind of it can be lonely, right? When you're running your own business, you're doing your day-to-day thing. You want to connect with people, especially when you're
Yes.
people like us who we really thrive on that.
Yep.
And then the overthinking, it's true, you overthink like, well, does anybody even care? Or
Totally.
is this
And then I want to
really,
remind you that the people that are showing up for you, they care. The people
yeah,
that follow you, they're following you for a reason because they want to see what you're doing, right? So
yeah,
sometimes we overthink it where we're like, oh, this is something I do every day. They don't know that. Or maybe there's something really special about the way that you ship your items that maybe you don't know will help somebody else who's in the same business. Or you're going to sell a customer by saying, oh, wow, she really puts so much attention to detail in the way she ships her pieces. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, it's
yeah,
reminding ourselves that those people are showing up for us, so we should show up for them.
yeah. Oh, that's great. I love it. And so when you and I first met,
Yes.
remember we connected on our love for Marie Forleo,
Yes.
who's this business coach based out of New York, and I had just taken her B school course. And you and I and Deepa, we actually went out for a glass of wine and we were talking about
Oh
the
my gosh, I
course. And
forgot about
that's
that.
so, like when you were saying, 5 years later, here you are, you have your business. I'm like, oh my God, when did we have that glass of wine? That
It
must
was
have
a
been
while
like
ago.
7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
That was before you had your kids.
Yes. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So crazy.
But
Yeah.
she is
So,
very, very good at her marketing. I know you took that
yeah.
course, and it doesn't hurt to even refresh, right? To
Yeah.
rewatch that. I was telling you, there's a book called Building a Story Brand or something along those lines. It's an Audible book I listened to several years ago, probably when I was starting my company. And now, five
Mhm.
years later, I'm thinking, I should give that a listen. It's really good at helping you rebrand, think about your mission, think about what you want to be helping people with. And I
Yeah.
think the main motto from that book, if you've listened to it, is about, you'll notice it in all the movies. It'll almost ruin movies for you once you watch it. But it's about having that hero who's your client. And that
Mhm.
hero, in every movie you watch, that hero ends up finding a guide that's going to help them solve their problem, right?
Right.
So it's positioning your client as that hero. And what are you helping them with? And what makes you different than everyone else? How are you helping that client? So
Yeah.
it's important to think about those things every few years, right? Because things
Yeah.
might change.
Exactly. And things do, they change so quickly. Even listening to that book before the pandemic versus after, right?
You're so right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How did you manage during the pandemic, Jackie? That must
that's a
have been
great question.
something else. Yeah.
You know what? It's funny because I feel like we were flourishing, like business just kept coming our way. And I think the reason was everyone was stuck at home. So people were
Yeah.
thinking, oh, well, we're not traveling this year, so we've got an extra blank to spend on our house. Or, wives were messaging us saying, I can't look at these four walls anymore. I feel trapped. I need something new and fresh. So we did offer virtual stuff for people that were more comfortable with virtual services. And a lot of people, we just wore masks. Everyone was safe
Yeah.
with masks. We went into homes and we just kept going.
Oh, that's great. So as you were doing these jobs, was there anything sort of extraordinary that someone had requested where you thought, wow, this is like something that is a direct result of now, working from home or being in the pandemic versus beforehand, nobody would have wanted something like this.
Yes. And you know what that
Yeah.
was for us was being able
What?
to work internationally. So we had several clients in
Ah,
Florida. We worked with clients in California, which for me was just mind blowing that, oh my gosh, I'm this little business in Burlington, not even 5 years open. And someone in California has chosen us from all over the world to virtually design their home. That's pretty special, I think. And I think the
ah,
doors really opened to that because of COVID. So that's a major plus.
That is amazing. I never,
Yeah.
so how does that work on your end that you do the design for them and then you source the contractors and everything in California? Like you just,
Yes. So luckily,
yeah.
all of our jobs that we've worked with so far, they have had contractors on site. So we haven't had to source those
Okay.
people out, but we
Yeah.
have had to source local merchandise. We actually, I believe we did 3 bathrooms for one of the homes that we did in California. We did their kitchen, we did their family room. So we were looking up local tile shops that they wanted to shop from. A lot of their stuff is online, and we put together 3D renderings. So we showcase renders, we do floor plans. We had several virtual meetings with them to do those presentations. And yeah, they sent us pictures in the end. It was really cool.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
huge.
Thanks.
God, that's so
It's funny because
amazing.
I forget about that stuff. And it is so important to look back at your business and think, wow, what are some of those milestones we hit this year? Or what are some of the things we've never done before that now we
Yeah.
have the opportunity to do? And do we like that? It's also important to reevaluate. Like, is that something we really want to be doing? Or do we want to be building connections with people local? Because, like I said,
Mhm.
a lot of our business is referrals.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
local friends, and then it's another friend, and then it's another friend. Um, but yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty neat. So with all the television experience and now this interior
Yes.
design business, have you ever thought about wouldn't it be cool to have, for you to have your own show? Is that
Oh,
something
yeah.
that you'd love to do?
That's a dream. That is an absolute dream. My husband
Yeah.
and I, so we've lived in our house for about 4 years now, and it's been one project after another. But when we were starting to renovate, because we built an addition, I looked into having it filmed. And it was big money. It was a lot of money. We were debating making our own show and having it on a local network. And in the end, I thought, you know what? Because truthfully, Monica, and this is the truth for anyone that's watching this, when you work on TV like I did, you struggle a little bit with that ego where it's like,
Mm.
wait a minute, why am I doing this again? Why do I want a TV show? Do I really need that? Or should I just be focusing on helping local people? And in the end, for me, that show was like, why am I spending all that money? I've already been on TV, I've already hosted several shows. I don't need to spend the money on that, right?
Yeah.
So, realistically, just checking in with myself and saying, hmm, I can film some content of this. I don't need to pay, how
Yeah.
much money it was to film a show just to be the
Right.
host of my own show.
Yes. Yeah.
But yes, would be a dream. And I have done a show. I A few summers ago, I worked on the Food Network. I did a show
Oh,
called Project Bakeover, and let me tell you, very it's a very different industry. So live TV, live news versus reality show programming, where it's not live, it's
okay.
all taped. Much of it is scripted, and the budgets are usually pretty tight. So you're doing a whole makeover in a week turnaround time. It's fast, it's stressful.
Whoa.
It's yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So just very different.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, I think it is true. People don't necessarily want to see things that are so overproduced. Like real life
You are
is
so
more
true.
interesting. So,
Yes,
even for you to do like a hyperlapse on your YouTube channel of you
yes,
doing a room or whatever, like that
yes.
would be you can this is the cool thing too. It's like there are so many things we can do ourselves now. And
Well, look at this. Look what you're
have
doing. Like,
yeah, I
I'm
mean, the
so impressed, Monica. You're like, use
oh,
this. It's like a streaming thing that connects to the Facebook. I'm like, how did you figure this out? Oh my gosh. This
yeah,
is
and it's
great. This is great.
crazy because I mean, I had the podcast mic under my desk for like 3 years. One of these days, I'm gonna have my own
Right.
little
I'm
show,
proud of you.
one of these
I'm
days.
proud of you.
Thank you. And then
And your
the
show,
pandemic.
it's again connecting with all these different people and sharing
Yeah.
stories that people connect with. It's all about those experiences. So I'm very
Yeah.
proud of you for taking the leap to do that.
Oh, thank you. I'm so proud of you too. Just think
Thanks.
how far we've come since the day we met.
Totally.
Isn't it crazy?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. So before I let you go, Jackie, what have you got going on for the rest of your week? What's happening
This
over there
week.
in your
Well, so after we wrap up, we have an art presentation today at the studio. So we have a local artist coming to show us her work, which we're always looking for commission pieces and different pieces to incorporate. And I love that she's local and she's just starting out. And being an entrepreneur myself, those are the people that I really like to connect with and promote. And then as a team, we've got a big presentation next week. It's a new build in Whitby. So we're all working on the different renders. You know how it is. Me owning the company, I'm always managing so many different things, but our big to
yeah,
do is a presentation for next week.
fun. That's great.
Yeah.
And what's your day to day like? You're no longer getting up at the crack of stupid, as my friend Catherine, who's watching, calls it.
Yeah. Tim used to call it that. The crack of crazy, he would say.
The crack of crazy. Yeah.
Mm. Because I used to live in Milton, and
Yeah.
my shift would start at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh
So I
God.
was leaving my house at 1:30 to get there for 2, to be on air at 4, to be done my shift at 10 a.m., 10 in the morning. It was really hard on my body, to be honest. So
Yeah.
now my normal day is waking up. I usually wake up, to be honest, around 8 o'clock, which
Yeah.
seems like so late.
No, I'm the
Um,
same. I love
eight
it.
o'clock?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 8 o'clock, I have my coffee, get ready. My kids get dropped off very late. I'm not sure why they start so late, but it works for me. I'll take all the
Yeah.
sleeping in for the rest of my life I can. So they start at 9:20, and then I head into the office. Usually the team is already there. They all start at 9, and I usually trickle in between 9:30 and 10. And yeah, Mondays we do a team meeting, and then we delegate. You're going to work on this, you're going to work on that project. We've got over 20 projects at a time.
Fantastic. Wow. That's
So it's
great. I'm
busy.
happy you sleep in. I have this thing with the sleep where I'm like, should I be getting up at 7? Should I be? But I just can't. I'm not built that way.
We are a lot alike. Oh my goodness.
We are. What's your birthday?
April. You?
April. I'm August.
Oh, I was like, what?
So
Oh my goodness.
yeah. So
August.
you're in
A's.
Aries.
I am.
You're Aries. I'm Leo. So we're on the compatible. So maybe we have the same similar traits,
That makes sense.
the
Makes a lot of
outgoing
sense.
part for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's great, Jackie. I'm so happy you came on today. Thank you for all your time. I know how busy you are, and I look at your life on social media. I'm like, you go, girl.
Thank
You've done
you.
so much, and
Thank you.
it's quite extraordinary. So,
What my goal is for this year is progress over perfection, because I do get stuck in that analysis paralysis where you're like overthinking what you're going to post when really
mhm,
people just want to connect with you. So
yeah,
show up for them, document, and just share progress over perfection.
love it.
Yeah.
So good. So good. All right, Jackie, I'm going to put you in our virtual green room and I will be right back with you. But thank you again so
Thanks for
much.
having me, Monica.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. What a pleasure to have a nice discussion with Jaclyn. And my gosh, she has so many great tips for small business owners. I hope you've all taken to heart all the great advice that she gave today. And make sure that you go over to brendabadome.com, our show sponsor. Use the coupon code Get to Know Them for 22% off of your order. And then, of course, head over to glamjewels.com, pick yourself up some matching accessories, choose a beautiful Valentine gift for your Valentine or Galentine. And I will see you back here next week with another amazing guest. Thank you so much for joining and keep on showing the world your sparkle. See you next week.